Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be the first of my monthly art journal, journal with me pages. So I've decided on this channel that I'm going to do mostly tutorials throughout the month, and then on the last weekend of every month I'm going to do an art journal page with you for fun. So what I have here is a few things that I've pre-cut. So I'm going to show you what they all are. I did this to save quite a bit of time. As you can see, there's lots of little bits and pieces. So if you want to do something like this along with me, you can go ahead and pause and cut out similar pieces. Or you can watch me do the whole page and then use it as inspiration for yourself. You don't have to copy what I'm doing or anything. It's just supposed to be some fun inspiration. So I'll show you what I have here. So, well, first of all, I'll explain to you what we're doing. And obviously, at this point, I haven't done the page yet, but by the time I put this video out, obviously the page will be done. So I'm going to put a copy of it up on the screen right now so you can kind of see what the general gist of the idea is. So as most of you have probably guessed by now, I am a big BTS fan. And in December, RM, the leader of BTS, Kim Namjoon, he put out a solo album. And one of the lead singles off of his solo album was called Wildflower. And basically the concept that he was using, and you'll notice I do a lot of song lyrics and things like that in my art journal. So that's what this is about. But in the song Wildflower, what he was talking about is how so much of your life is just like, it's a firework bursting and it, quick, and it doesn't last very, very long, but he wants to create something that will last. And he compares it to a flower of the field, a wildflower that just, lives its life, comes up and people don't even know necessarily their names, but they're beautiful. They're just there, peaceful, quiet, but like something that lasts longer than a firework. So anyways, there's a lot more to it, and I encourage you to read the lyrics. But anyways, so what I wanted to do was take that idea of, he calls it a flowerwork. Instead of a firework, which, bursts and burns quickly, a flowerwork, which is, the petals of the flowers out in the field. And it's a word that he kind of came up with through, there's a bunch of Korean translation stuff that is involved in that. But anyways, long story short, or not so short, as you can see, I'm fairly wordy. I wanted to take the idea of flowers that look like fireworks and use that as an art journal page. So what I did actually is I Googled flowers that look like fireworks and got some inspiration from that. So what I've created here is pieces for making my flowers. So if you look at images of flowers that look like fireworks, and you'll see that a lot of them have long pieces coming off of them, long thin pieces for the flowers. So I did some orange ones there. I've got some green ones because I had seen some flowers that had green stems and then they had little yellow pieces on the ends that were pretty. I cut out a bunch of little purple ones here. These are like kind of almost like daisy petals or that sort of thing. I cut out some other purple ones there. These ones here, I had seen some flowers that had long yellow pieces with a bulb on the end. This was just some extra stuff. Here I had just ripped up some pieces of construction paper to add to some of the flowers. I cut out circles. I punched circles in different colors for the centers of the flowers. And then just for fun, I punched out I used a flower punch that I had and punched out some of these. I thought that those would look cute just being on the page as well. And then I, instead of typing these out, I decided to write them out because I don't mind my writing. So I took some of the lyrics. So from a flaming flower fire to a flower of the field is one of the lyrics. And then the main chorus is light a flower, flower work. So I did that one too. And then there's the name of the song. So I'm going to use those on there as well. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And I'll show you where we're going to be doing this. So I created this art journal, and this is actually going to be my first page in it. I created this one out of an old dictionary. So what I did is I took the dictionary and I started cutting pages. Here, move my Mod Podge out of the way. I cut out pages. So what did I do? I think I cut out, I kept 3 pages and glued them together because they're very thin pages. I believe what I did, because these are such thin pages, they're these dictionary pages that are super, super thin. These ones back here I haven't cut yet, or I haven't glued yet, so you can see how thin these pages are. So I glued 3 of them together, and then I cut out a few in between so that I would have extra space. So that's what this is. And like I said, this is my first time using it. So what I did in advance as well is I took the page that I'm going to use, and now I'm actually going to, because this is the start of the book, it's gotten too high. I'm going to take one of my jars of paint and just use it as a... So what I did is I covered this with gesso, and then I painted it with black, and then I just wiped off some areas where you could see some of the words. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see those words in the end or not, based on what we do here. So now, first thing that I wanted to do is, because this is supposed to be like the night sky, and then I'm going to be having Flowerworks exploding, I wanted to put some stars on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take one of these lids, and I am going to use some of my white paint. Just a sec, let me grab it. Now, as you all probably know by now, in my art journals, I typically will use the cheap paint because I don't want to use my expensive artist quality paint that I use for doing my actual paintings. So I've just got some Dollar Rowney Simply Acrylic White that I'm going to use for this. I'm just going to put a bit of it in there. I don't need too much because I'm going to water it way down. Now, one thing that I need to caution you on is when you're doing splatters, cover things that you don't want to get dirty with paint. So I am going to just put some papers up here in front of some of my things. I have several journals on the go on the table here. Okay, because I tend to get this stuff everywhere. Yeah, that should be okay. I think the rest of that doesn't really matter. Okay, so I have my white paint, and I'm just going to take one of these brushes. These are just my cheapo brushes, they're bristle brushes that I use when I'm painting trees and that sort of thing. And I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to put a bunch of water in here. Now, I hope that that green paint doesn't come off. I thought about that before I used it, but I thought, meh, if it does, I'll just, let's say, redo it, because it's just... So you want, when you're making splatters, you want it to be really wet paint, because you don't want to, you want it to actually come off of your brush when you're splattering it. So I'm going to put some on the brush, and then I'm just going to tap my brush. And all I'm doing is I'm just tapping it like this with my finger. That's why I like these long brushes too for this, because you can get more of a splatter with it. So I want this to just look like the night sky. That looks pretty good. Okay. Just rinse off that brush. And we'll put that aside. Okay, so that is my stars. And I'm going to take all my papers back off of everything here so that I have room again. And this is one of the few times that I splattered paint and didn't get it on my face, so as far as I can tell anyway. Okay, so I am going to really quickly run my hair dryer on this to dry it, and then I will come back. So I dried that. It's mostly dry. A couple of the bigger ones might still be a little wet. But what I usually do in that case, because I'm not the most patient person when it comes to doing art journals, is I'll just dab it on those big ones, just to make sure everything's kind of dry. One thing you'll figure out about me pretty quickly here is that I use my art journals for, how should I say, basically I use my art journals for therapy. If I'm going to be doing something else, I'm going to be doing other types of painting, I do this kind of stuff, where I'm doing very precise painting, or I'll do landscapes or wildlife or that sort of thing. But in my art journal, I just want to be able to mess around. So they don't always look pretty, but they are fun to do, and they're therapy for me. So I thought first thing I should probably do is put my words on there so that I know where they're, well, no, because I might want them to go over top. Okay, let's change their minds there. So let's start with one of the flowers. So I think I'm going to use some of these darker dots. These are all just cut out of scraps of paper that I had laying around too. They're nothing special. It was just bits of scrapbook paper and stuff, offcuts from doing journals. So I'm going to start with my yellow one that uses these. And I have several different types of yellow there. Get out my Mod Podge here. And my brush. Okay. So I thought I'd maybe put the yellow flower over here using this as the center. So I'm going to just put these dots on as my center. You get to kind of see my thought process here, because I usually don't plan out ahead a lot when I'm art journaling. I'll start with a general idea. Like, my general idea is flowers that look like fireworks, but I don't have a plan laid out as to, which flowers are going to go where or anything like that. I just start messing around. And I'm not trying to make these look like the real flowers that I was looking at pictures of. I'm just trying to play around. And usually what I'll do is, after I get them on there, then I'll put some Mod Podge on top too. It all dries clear, but that helps it stay where you want it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab a few of these yellow pieces, and I'll set them over here. So let's just start putting them on. So I wanted them to kind of look like they were exploding off of this. So and once again, like I say, I have no idea how this is going to turn out, if it's going to look nice or not. I just go ahead and do it because it's fun. And I'm going to put some of them going right up onto that center, because then I'm going to put another center piece on after. You'll notice I don't skimp on the Mod Podge. Let's put that guy. actually going to, oh, that wouldn't be as long. Let's clip that off. Let's take some of these other colors too. And I tried to pick colors, the yellows and the oranges and stuff that would really stand out on this black. And oh, look at that, I've got cat hair. Never imagined that in this house. Cat or bunny hair is what you will find. So I'll probably fast forward through some of this here and then show you the final result. Okay, coming back. A couple things I learned through the process of working on this flower. One is, as you can see, there was obviously no point in me putting that center on before I put the flower on there, because I ended up using, or going into that space. So I'm going to re-put that on. So that's what I'm going to do now. And number two is, I discovered that I wanted to layer things. Raven, how about you don't come on here? This is Raven the cat. He's getting into my stuff. Here, Raven, say hello. We say hello. This is Raven. Look at the camera, Raven. He wants to be on my stuff. He always likes to be in where I'm doing things. Okay. And that, as you can see, is why I have cat hair on everything. That is one of a few cats in this house. Okay, so I also decided that I wanted to layer them more. No, honey, you gotta stay down. Whoop. Off you go. Okay, so I decided that I wanted to kind of layer them a little bit more. So I shortened some of them. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that center back on. Raven, you got to stay down, honey. I'm gluing things. No, you can't come up. You got to stay down, sweetie. Kitties. So now I'm going to put the center on again. If you want to come up, you got to stay over on that side of the table. No, you can't come over here. You can't. Sorry. I know everybody loves to see you. Just don't knock stuff down, hon, with that long tail of yours. So now by putting the center of my flower on after, you'll see it'll actually cover the ends of those pieces. Don't be eating my homemade paper over there, please, Raven. I'm making homemade paper, and he seems very interested in it. Raven, what are you doing? Cats. There we go. So when that dries, it'll all be clear, and that's my first fun flower. Okay, let's try maybe on this spot over here, because they're fairly long. I want to use those orange pieces that I had. So I'm going to take them, bring them over here. So these are just a bunch of orange strips that I had. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. One thing I might do, though, is I might put some Mod Podge on here first to kind of make this a little easier. Now I'm going to go over, I think those are going to be too long that way. I'm going to cut them in half, I think, and go over the center there. Some of the flowers, if you actually look up flowers that look like fireworks, some of them are really, really interesting. Like it's kind of crazy. Some of these flowers that actually genuinely look like fireworks. It's pretty neat. Now, I'll show you this here. The spots where I want to go over center, what I usually do is I usually have a card. I'm going to dig through my mess here. So I take a card like this. So this is just a free kids meal card that I had at one time. Stay back, baby. And I'll push this down into the gap, and then Raven, no honey, you gotta come off the table. Push that into the gap between the pages, and then I use the card to kind of squish that down. And then what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of the Mod Podge on my card here, and I'll get it on this side, and then I'll just lay that on there. So I want to, because I push that into the crack, and then put Mod Podge on this side to hold it down. Oh, Raven, no, honey, you're getting glue all over you. Adventures in Rhonda Land. It's also nice for putting under the, sometimes I do all my gluing with these cards like this. It's a good way to put lots of Mod Podge on at one time too, especially if you have a big mouth container like that. Works really well. If I put a bunch of the Mod Podge on, because like I say, this Mod Podge dries clear, so I can get all of my pieces on, and then I can kind of situate them where I want them in the Mod Podge, especially with these thin pieces, because it's hard to just paint the Mod Podge onto that one side of them. Now, okay, so then now here again, I want that in the center, or in that gap there. So I'm going to squish it down into the gap. And then I'm going to, it's a little hard with these thin pieces. It's definitely not as easy as when I'm doing like a big circle or something and putting it on there. But that's what happens when you're doing a 2-page spread. Some things have to cross that centerpiece. I'll just stick that one down there. I want to take a few even smaller pieces and stick them in here around the center, because as we know, flowers are never symmetrical. I love flowers personally. I try and grow them, but I live on a farm, and it's kind of not the easiest to grow flowers out here. You might think it would be because I have lots of space, which is nice. But the grass out here is very invasive. So I'm constantly fighting crabgrass in my flower beds. But I'm planning on hopefully putting in a wildflower bed next year, because I want to have more flowers that I can dry for various projects. I've been working on making some paper right now, and in the process of making paper, I'm trying to embed some flowers and things in it for fun. And I dried a lot of flowers the last couple of years. I dried and pressed a bunch of flowers in my old textbooks. I actually studied to become a mechanical engineer, and then I burnt out after 16 years doing that. So I quit, but I still have lots of old textbooks and things laying around. That one's going to be way too long. Let's cut that off. Okay, I think that's actually pretty good for that. Now I'm just going to make sure everything sticks down. And if I remember correctly with this flower, and I think that's why I had gotten those red pieces, I saw a flower that kind of looked like this, and then on the ends of all these pieces, it had like these red balls almost is what it looked like. It was really neat looking. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put, I'm going to take these red and pink pieces that I had cut off of, or that I just ripped out of construction paper, and I'm going to just put them on the ends here. As you can see, art journaling is not a clean hobby. So I'm just going to stick these pieces on the end, and I'll probably fast forward through this, and then I'll be back again. Okay, so now I'm going to just take, now for this one I'm going to use my paintbrush because I want to be a little more gentle. I'm going to paint over those and make sure that they're sticking down. And then later I can check, and if anything is wanting to come up, I can put another bit of Mod Podge on it. But as you can see, it's not a very clean hobby, this. But you can see it does dry clear. Like, look at how that flower is coming out now. And I like having that area behind it that I rubbed some of the paint off, because then it looks like it's glowing. So why don't you tell me down in the comments what your favorite thing about mixed media art is, because this is essentially mixed media art, as I'm using all kinds of different bits and pieces of paper and stuff to make things, and I'm using paint, and I'm using all kinds of things. And I'll tell you, my favorite thing about mixed media is just the freedom of it. And I've always loved textures. So the feel of the textured paper is something I really, really enjoy. And I think for the center of this one, I'm going to use some of these yellow pieces. Give it a yellow center. So yeah, I love the texture of it. And like, I love art journaling just because it's such a, I don't know, I just find it very freeing to be able to just play. Because like I say, when I do my other art, it's a lot more formal, and it's very, you know, I'm always thinking about colors and about, you know, color combinations and mixing my paints, and because I use, you know, a limited palette, and then I mix paints to make the different colors. And if you want to see some of my painting work, I'll show you. I'll share a link to my other channel. I don't post a lot on there now because I'm busy with this one, but I do have a lot of painting on there. Put that on there like that. I think that makes a cool center. But with art journaling, it's just, there's just so much freedom involved, and I really, really like that. Raven, he's over there eating. This cat, he's on my counter, and he's eating dried rose petals. why. I think I figured out where those rose petals went. I had saved some and had them sitting on the counter, and yeah, I have a feeling that Raven is eating them all. Okay, so that's that flower. So those are kind of the biggest ones. Now I wanted to do kind of one that looked like it was kind of coming down from the top. So Raven, can you get off my paper? Just one second, guys. I have to move the cat. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Moved the cat and made some more room on my phone to keep going. Okay, so I wanted to try making one with these like little daisy kind of, or yeah, these petals, whatever you would call them. I'm thinking like a cone flower sort of thing. So I think I'm going to do that up here because I'm going to have it kind of hanging down. So since these ones are a little bit bigger, I think I'm going to just go ahead and do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one on and speed through it, and then I will show you the result. Okay, I'm back and I'm putting a little extra Mod Podge on the top there. Okay, so I'm going to use these brown ones and kind of make a base here. And then I've got some lighter brown ones that I cut out. I'm going to use on top of that. Now I'm going to have to get a little bit of glue on these because it's going to be on top of the other one. I think that looks kind of neat. So I'm going to cover that one with some more Mod Podge, my favorite thing. Now, should I maybe, just thinking, I wonder if I should take a few of these little guys here and just have a second layer on some of them. Just use a few of them for a second layer. I'm not going to make a full second layer, but I think it's cute. Being kind of careful where I put them because I've already got that top piece done. I have one come out there, I think. So when I add one out there like that, what I'll do is I'll just take my Mod Podge and I'll go underneath it and then over top. I think that looks pretty cool. Now I did realize after I finished this one that I have yellow ones on both spots on that side, but oh well, it is what it is. Now let's make, okay, since I have yellow ones up here, let's make that purple one, and I'm going to make it right here, and I'm going to have it go over top of that one, I think. So I've got these little purple pieces. Now again, with this one, I'm going to, oh yeah, to make these, oh, this shows you how I made them. I cut a whole bunch of strips, and then but I didn't go all the way to the end. So they're like that. And then I actually took my scissor and I just cut that end off. So then now they're separate strips. I just hadn't finished getting that one cut off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a whole bunch of Mod Podge right here. I'm going to have it go right over top of that one, but I'm not going to cover up this one. So let's have pieces like this. See, this is why I like getting them all cut out ahead of time, because then I can just create here. And I don't have to worry about stopping and taking time to cut. And there's one that I did on a bit of an angle. Let's see, do we got any more like that? Oh, yeah. A few of these ones that I did kind of rounded, I'm going to put them up at the top, because I'm not going to go up here. I'm going to just make it kind of like this. Oops. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure those are all sticking down. Okay, so here's where I'm going to use my card again. And I'm going to start by getting it under these so that they have some glue on them. And then I'm going to stick them into that spot. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. Now I think for the center of this one, I'm actually going to use some of these little other purple pieces that I have. These are again just off of a piece of scrapbook paper that I had left over from some stuff. That's why they've got letters on them. I'm just going to put them in a cluster here. Take some of this glue. Oops. That's not where we want you. There, I think that looks cool. It's hard to tell sometimes until the Mod Podge dries, but I think it looks pretty neat. I think that page is nice and full. Okay, now let's do my one that I had that had these green pieces and the you know what I want to do? I want to put another yellow one on the center of that one. Or should we put a brown one in the center? Would that look neat? Ooh, I think that might, yeah, I think that'd be too much. Let's put a yellow one. Yeah, I think that looks better. The brown one would have looked kind of neat, but I think it would have taken away from the flower. Whoop, let's not move you too much. There we go. Okay. Now, so I have all these little ones. And then I've got little yellow ends for them. So, apparently I really was in the mood for yellow when I was cutting these out. Alright, so let's do that one up here. I find that doing the Mod Podge this way is so much easier when you're trying to do thin strips. Okay. And I'll fast forward through this part too. One thing I'm going to do with this one is I want to have some smaller ones at the top, so I'm going to cut those in half. Now I'm going to actually put a few kind of part ways up there so that it looks like there's some shorter ones too. Okay, now I got to decide on my center here. So I think for the center on this one, let's go with some orange. And Mother. Yes.
Mother.
Yes.
It's supper.
Okay, I'll be over in just a minute. Just have to finish this part.
Hey, Raven. You still recording?
Yep.
Yeah. Be a feature. Are you blocking me out?
I'm not sure if I'll be fast forwarding through this part or not, so you might be on there.
I just get a crap out of Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's gonna come
No,
over.
you stay down there, honey. You don't need to come up here again. Okay, I will let that dry while I go have some supper. All right, everyone, I'm back and had my supper and made sure all the animals were fed, ponies and donkeys and the bunnies and the kitties and everybody. So let's see where we're at with this. So we've got all of those ones. Now I have this area down here that I want to put something. See, I also have those little flowers to put in here. My little punch out ones. I wonder if I want to, except I kind of want to have those just kind of around. So I think maybe what I will do down here, I've got, let's see what I've got left here. I have a few of these. I have a few of these yellow ones, but then I also have, that I had cut out, some green ones for fun, just for something different. So I've got those, and then the other side of those is kind of a lighter green, so I could use that too. I think I will. I think I'll make just another little hang down flower over here. And then, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I think that'll look cute. I think that balances it out better to have 3 on each page. Here in the center, I think I'm going to go let's go orange. And put that one with the lines up for fun. And maybe a yellow one. Just do something a little different for fun. Okay, now I'm going to take some of these little ones that I punched out and I'm going to put them on here in a few places. I like these ones because with making them white, they kind of fit with the stars too. Now I'd like to have one that goes off the page here, so I'm going to put it on part ways, and then once it's dry I'll cut that excess off. I think that'll look cute. And let's put one up here. And I think I'll do another half of one up here. That looks pretty cool, and let's do a half one down here. See what I said about that this is all just trial and error. I don't really plan ahead when I'm doing these. Okay, where else do we think needs one? Should we put something over on this corner maybe? Put it right down in the corner there. And let's put one right there. I think I've got one more here. Yeah, last one. Just put it right up there. So then when those dry, I can cut that piece off. Okay, so now I have my words. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have these ones on this side. Thinking kind of like from a flaming flower of fire to a flower of the field, kind of like that. Where should I have it? I don't think I want it. Oh, I think I want it there. because I want it to be partially against that black background. And then I'm going to have this one over here, I think, and my title down lower. But I wanted to make these stand out a little more, and because they are flower related, I'm going to, excuse my reach here, take some of my Distress Oxide. I need to get some more of these daubers. I keep having to change my end. Okay, so I wanted to take the Distress Oxide, and I'll put a link to this in the description. I have a few different ones. My favorite one is the Vintage Photo, and then I have a fossilized amber one, and I've got this one here, which is Bundled Sage. And so it's a nice green one. So what I'm going to do is around the edges of my words here is I'm just going to ink the edges with that Distress Oxide. It just adds an extra outline. These pieces that I wrote this on and cut out were just a piece of cardstock that I had used for something else. and cut off. And then I had actually, there's a bit of color difference to them. If you can, I don't know if you can see that, but that's because I had used a stencil on it when I was trying something. So. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put these on. So the way I usually do it is I just put my Mod Podge on the back. If you haven't guessed by now, I really enjoy using Mod Podge. I'm going to put it right there. The thing I love so much about Mod Podge is that it dries clear, so I can basically just cover everything with it. And actually, usually that's what I do at the end of a project like this, is I'll cover the whole page just to protect it so that none of the little edges come up. So now I'm just going to go over those quickly, make sure everything's held down nice. The only thing is, when you're doing this, if you're using your inks, you might have a little bit of bleed because they aren't water soluble, or they are water soluble. So you might end up with a little bit of bleed. Okay, so now what I'm going to do quickly here is I'm going to take my card again, and I'm just going to dip it in here, and I'm just going to kind of go over everything to make sure that the whole page is protected. And then I'll take my brush and I'll just smooth it and make sure that it's covering everything. That's just, like I say, it's a step I like to do to protect it and to make sure that all my edges are down. It's not a necessary step, but I just feel like there's less chance of stuff lifting off if I do that. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back and show you my final step. Okay, everybody, I'm back. It's mostly dried. There's still a few areas where it's still drying, but I thought I'd come back and finish it off, and then I can show you the final product. So the next step, which basically is almost my last step, is that I need to cut off these extra pieces that are hanging over the edge. So what I do to do that is I like to flip it over so that I can just see the bits and pieces that are extending past, and then I just cut like this to cut that off flush. And then so on this one here, I'm going to do this side first. I want to cut those little pieces off. There we go. And then turn it this way. Hopefully that's on camera. It might not be, but just doing the same thing with this bottom part. And then I have this top one here to cut off. But by turning the page over, it just allows me to see where exactly I have to cut it to get rid of it. And you see there, now those are all off of there. So then here's this one. And those went flying somewhere. And then I have this one up here. But this is also why I keep these underneath, because I know that I'm going to be getting Mod Podge between the pages. So that, I think, is pretty much it. It looks good to me. So I will just let that finish drying, and all the white will disappear when it dries. And I will take a picture to post at the end of this video. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed that with me. It was a fun little project to do, and I hope it inspired you. And let me know down in the comments if you've ever made mixed media flowers like that. It's just quite fun. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you've ever had the opportunity to do that. And I will see you on the next video. I'll be doing these art journal pages at the end of every month is the plan. And on the last Friday of each month. And the other Fridays will be for tutorials and that sort of thing. So yes, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Thank you.